Tennessee fans, welcome to the BruceIsLoose.com's first ever video podcast. I'm your host, Diddle, and let's get right to it. Now, Vol fans, I know you're upset, and I feel your pain. But before you even think about posting judgment on the Vols of this season, listen to what I've got to say and think about my rationale. Vol fans, don't worry, be happy. This loss was literally the perfect storm. A game where the Vols had everything against them. Sure, it would have been nice to hold that number one spot a little bit longer than just one day, but we're going to be just fine. While you're chatting around the water cooler, keep these points in mind. First of all, Vanderbilt was ranked number 14 in the coaches poll, number 18 in the Associated Press. They are far from a pushover. Oh yeah, they're also number 10 in the RPI. Second point, Memorial Gym. It's one of the toughest places in the country to get a win. Vanderbilt currently has a 17-game home winning streak, which is the 7th longest in Division I basketball. And if you've never been inside Memorial Gym, it's like an oversized high school stadium. The student section is basically on top of the court, and they even have to sit the teams at each of the far ends. That's right, it's one of the few places in the country where the teams actually sit on the baseline instead of the sideline. Third point, Memorial Gym, again, is one of the toughest places in the country to get a win. With the victory over the Vols last night, Vanderbilt has a 4-0 record against the past number one teams that have gone into Memorial Gym. And let's not forget that last year, on February 17th, Vanderbilt took down the number one Gators by 13 points. And if I can remember correctly, the Florida Gators were pretty good last year. Fourth point, the Vandy game, it was the definition of a trap game. After playing an incredibly hard-fought and draining competition against Memphis at the FedEx Forum on Saturday night, the Vols took Sunday off. Bruce even felt it was necessary to give them a very light practice on Monday because of how beat up they still were from the Memphis battle. This gave the Vols literally less than 1 day to prepare to play one of the best teams in the country on their home court. In last night's game, I'll have to admit, it's got to be one of the single worst officiated collegiate sporting events that I have ever seen. And that's on both sides of the ball. Multiple times the crowd chanted, "Let them play, let them play." Even occasionally, after Tennessee was the team committing the foul. It was seriously like the refs had been asking for new shiny whistles in their Christmas stockings, and Santa finally came 15 minutes before the game. They couldn't get those darn shiny things out of their mouth. At one point, I swear they were trying to whistle zippity doo-dah while Tennessee was driving the ball down the court. Good gracious. Now listen, Vanderbilt, they're good, but they're still the third best team in their own state. Sure, they beat us last night, but there's not an analyst in the entire country outside of Nashville that will say that Vanderbilt is a better team than Tennessee or Memphis. I don't know why, but this helps me sleep at night. To be honest, I was very proud to be a Law fan last night. Lofton had 25 points, Tyler Smith had 17 rebounds, but outside of those two guys, none of their performances were that good. Honestly, for the Vols, it was subpar. We are the highest scoring offense in the land, but getting a bucket to fall was like pulling teeth, and we still only lost by 3 points. Vol fans, don't worry. Be happy. And here's a couple more unique opinions of my own that I want to throw out there. These opinions are my own, and thus they are only opinions, and I do not claim them as fact. But I would like to hear your opinion on my opinion. In fact, if you are opinionated. First of all, Shane Foster is nasty. He looked like an NBA first-rounder tonight, and I'm not sure why Lofton was guarding him most of the time. Shane has at least 6 inches on Lofton. I rarely question Bruce, but if I had my way, I would put Josh Tabb in the game for 4 or 5 minute stretches to man up on Foster. Foster's offensive game is nasty, but Tabb's defensive play is even nastier. Also, J.P. Prince making foul shots. You knew that something was going on last night when Jawan doesn't get double digits, but JP makes nearly every single one of his shots from the line. Well done, JP. Your stock is definitely rising in my book. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Ross Neltner should have received a technical when he dove on top of Jawan after the play was already whistled over. If that had been me, I might have made Neltner bite the curb later on that night. Oh yeah, they gave Juwan a technical late in the game for some foul words while standing on the free throw block. But Neltner, he can dive on top of somebody, slamming their head and doesn't even get a warning. Good gracious. And finally, Brian Williams. He's got a ton of potential, and he continues to get better. His hands are looking less like bricks and more like real person hands. And I know it was a foolish shot, and I was floored that he even attempted such an ill-advised shot, but it felt good deep down inside when Juwan sucked that shot from nearly half court. And that's all, folks. Don't worry and be happy. Last night's game was a perfect storm, and although number one feels good, I kind of like being overlooked, being the underdog. I definitely never want to be the belle of the ESPN ball. Keep your number one ranking. I'll make sure we let you know how important it is when we set San Antonio on fire. Literally, I'm going to take a torch and burn down the Final Four stage when Tennessee takes home the national championship. Just watch me.